Next up from there is the 30 rep range. This is the highest end, which is endurance and cardio and aerobic and other metabolic training, which is primarily done for athleticism and being able to do a athletic activity for long periods of time, as well as catabolism, which means fat burning and thus weight loss. So this rep range is not done for hypertrophy and growing muscle, but for getting healthy and conditioning your body to become more athletic, usually for the purpose of training for a specific type of sport and for burning fat and getting cut. Now, the reason why this rep range does not effectively grow muscle for most of your muscles, because the larger the muscle, the more weight that it needs in order to be forced to grow. And so once you get up into the 30 plus rep range, there's really no muscles that are small enough to be trained for hypertrophy with this rep range. So for instance, if you could do 50 push-ups in one set, which a lot of old school guys like to brag that they can do, that may be a good athletic feat, but that high number is not an indication that you are building muscle when you are doing that set, okay? Because 50 reps is not hypertrophy training. It is way beyond that, okay? What that is an indication of is that you are too strong for bodyweight push-ups to be a good exercise for hypertrophy training, and you need to add more resistance if you want to train your chest for hypertrophy. And the only one muscle group that is so small that the high reps of 30 plus is a good amount for it to, cause hypertrophy and give it the appearance of being more muscular are the abs. The abs are so small that if you really do want to develop them, you do need to do extremely high reps, all right, of like 20 to 25 or up. 20 to 25 is a low amount of reps for the abs, and anything less than that is just not effective for them, okay? You'll actually continue to see more and more growth if you're doing 30 or 40 or 50 reps for the abs. But that's just because they're such an anomaly and are so small. They're really the only muscle that shows that requires that high rep range for growth. But they also, because they're so small, do have a very limited growth potential as well. So if you start doing a lot of high rep sets for them, you will quickly hit a ceiling with them. So you don't need to be doing multiple sets of 50 several times a week or anything like that. But the point is, this rep range is not for building muscle. It is for a healthy metabolic workout. And while doing 50 crunches or jumping jacks won't build muscle, it is a very good exercise to do for aerobics. And that type of exercise is essential even in a hypertrophy training program for two reasons. First, these exercises are still crucial to making someone look more shredded and aesthetic. And two, this type of training conditions someone to be athletic enough to handle the other aspects of a hypertrophy workout, because you need a strong core to support your body for heavy lifting, and you need to have a high enough lactate threshold that the burning sensation of the lactic acid you get when you're getting a massive pump when you're doing more than 20 reps won't be a limiting factor for you. And because of that, once you've conditioned yourself to be able to handle extremely high reps, you'll find yourself doing much better hypertrophy training when you're doing like 20 or 25 reps, because of the fact that that burning sensation doesn't bother you anymore. So you can get an extremely massive pump then. So even if you are training for hypertrophy, this rep range is still integral. Now, the highest rep ranges, in which you are facing very little resistance in doing hundreds or even thousands of reps, such as if you were riding a bicycle, right? And think of how many rotations you are making, right? Too many to even count, right? Or if you were running, swimming, or whatever. This is considered an endurance sport. And doing that does not create anabolic processes or hypertrophy in the body, but is a totally different process, which only conditions the muscle to be able to do that specific sport or athletic activity very well. So unfortunately, endurance training, when taken to the extreme as it is in these types of sports training, does not actually mix well with hypertrophy training. All right, the two are mutually exclusive. So where it could be beneficial for a hypertrophy trainee to do 30 reps or more, maybe up to 50, especially for certain exercises like the abs or some other small muscles like the shoulders, going above and beyond that is counterproductive to hypertrophy and only something you should do if you need to for a certain type of sport or if you are trying to lose weight. Now, while high rep endurance training may not make you more muscular in the sense of a growth in size, which is one of its only cons, this rep range actually comes with a very long list of pros. All right, it will get you extremely cut and shredded by making you extremely well defined and melting away all of the fat on top of your muscles, and all of your muscle fibers will be showing through, so it'll still make you look more muscular in that sense while making you also thinner. All right, and so this look is very aesthetically pleasing, especially for women to have. But the biggest pros of this rep range are all of the countless health benefits that come with it, because it is aerobic and cardiovascular exercise. So it's so good for your respiratory system. It will oxygenate your blood, get your blood pumping faster, and this produces a slew of health benefits. It will keep you young, keep the doctor away. All right, so it is a very important type of fitness, and everyone should be doing some form of cardio whenever they work out, even if you are strength training or hypertrophy training. And the only real downside of this form of exercise is that it doesn't make you stronger, but that's okay for people who don't need to get stronger. And if you do need to, you can do strength training in combination with endurance training. All right, and ironically, strength training and endurance training can go together, and you will see a lot of professional athletes doing both of those things for their sports together. However, the 30 plus rep range does not actually combine well with hypertrophy training. Okay, while it combines well with low-end strength training and much athletic sports training, because many athletes need to be able to be explosive and powerful while also having endurance and being able to run around and perform their sport for long lengths of time without fatiguing. Endurance training will not cause hypertrophy and grow muscle, because endurance training mainly trains your slow twitch muscle fibers, which do not grow much. So if you are training for hypertrophy and your goal is to get bigger, you do need to do some cardio for health, but you want to be doing much more hypertrophy training and much less cardio training. All right, so your energies should be mostly going into your hypertrophy training and less into your endurance training. All right, the endurance training should be more like accessory work done at the end of the workout for 20 to 30 minutes or so. All right, whereas your hypertrophy training workout should be the main focus, which gets a much larger chunk of time of about an hour to an hour and a half.